Hey everybody, I'm not a dog fucker. That means I'm John Hastings, and I'm with noted dog fucker Dylan Gott. Go ahead, Dylan.
Just to recap, what we did was my name is Dylan Gott, by the way. We were talking about Bret Hart Part 3, and to get it started in the way it should be, we were discussing. I
Dylan
was
is a
like,
dog fucker.
hey, do you know what I don't find attractive?
Go ahead.
Canines. And then John said they gave me a K4, and I said what? And he's like, my penis is 4 inches. That meant hard, and I was like, ooh.
No. That's how thick it is. It's 4 inches around.
Once again, my favorite thing.
This is 4 inches, right? This is how big 4 inches around is. That's because that's what I fucking bring.
Do you have like Halloween candy?
It's a bunch of fortune cookies. Because one time,
okay, I like it.
Chinese restaurant showed up with a bag of fortune cookies, Dylan. Mm-hmm. And if they give you that much fortune, you do not want to know what's up.
I like fortune cookies because they're just like for an old buds that I have right now. Like I drink black coffee. I like a tart taste, and it's got that low volume of sugar that I like.
Yeah, but what I also
300
like,
of those fuckers.
What I like about fortune cookies is that they had to make them just fun things and not you will meet someone that you'll be more in love with, because people kept calling up being like, why the fuck is my wife leaving me because she got a fucking fortune cookie, bro? What the fuck?
Did that actually happen though?
That's right.
That's pretty cool.
Do I fucking make shit up? No, I'm fucking hot.
He doesn't make shit up. By the way, right now we're going to talk about Bret Hart. And this actually, I forgot about the storyline completely. After Bret Hart, we're of course picking it up, his Iron Man match with Shawn Michaels. He loses and he takes a bunch of time off.
This is the best time. This is Lonesome Dove hanging out in Canada. This is like a longer
storyline, because we just talked about Raven on our Patreon episode, and it's one of the longer storylines. It's why Bret Hart's fucking sick. Yeah, listen to
that episode for no other reason than I am so distracted by a bunch of bullshit in my life that I then
bully shitters.
That's right. And then I went and fucking sorted myself, and now I'm A-okay.
Jacked off. Now he's fine.
Hard. Not only did I jack off, I called someone else and said, you should jack off. And they were like, thank you. My name is Dylan Gott's wife.
Here's something you should know. If you jack off and then it comes out black, that's all your bad thoughts.
That's right. Or your yam bag is bleeding.
Yeah, or you're dead in 5 minutes. But either way, who cares, right?
Either way, you got to come. Either way, you're winning.
There you go. So he comes back after 6 months off, and he comes out, Bret Hart does, gives a promo where he says, Shawn Michaels did beat me in the middle of the ring, fair and square, but I'm still better than him, and I want to face the best wrestler in the WWF right now, Stone Cold Steve Osmond.
That's right. Give me the angriest of all the Osmonds, Steve Austin.
I'm not a Mormon.
But this, by the way, is Bret Hart's genius. Bret Hart was the only guy that could have made Steve Austin in this, and Bret Hart was the only guy that could keep going after it, which is Bret Hart.
Are you holding your friend?
I'm holding a piece of metal.
No, it's good. No, because you were like a fucking. It's like a fucking. You just hold one, right?
Hold it.
And then people
there you
are
go.
Like, whoa. It's like on sports shows how they always just are holding a pen. Like, that guy's going to, he wrote something down.
He's making a point. He's about to, Charles Barkley is about to write something down. Do you know what he's writing down? That makeup lady's phone number. He's not trying to fuck her. He's trying to help her out getting into her master's program.
Yeah.
One letter of rec from CB, and guess what you don't have? Problems.
I remember this from my sports podcast I did 600 years ago with Graham K. But greatest Charles Barkley story. He got caught speeding, and the cop was like, "Why are you going speeding? Why are you speeding?" And he's like, "Listen, yes, I'm drunk. Second thing, I'm about to go get my dick sucked by the lady who sucks the best dick on the goddamn planet. So just like, let me speed." And then they were like, "You're in jail," and he's like, "Fine." That was it. That was his official rating for speeding. You could have just been like, "Sorry, officer," but he's like, "I'm about to get my dick sucked. Also, here's a bunch of money."
This is why I love Charles Barkley. He has the attitude of someone that won as many rings as Michael Jordan did not.
Yeah, him and Carmelo Anthony, both great basketball players, both clearly too fun to win stuff at basketball.
Yeah, exactly. Do you want to know why Charles Barkley isn't the champion? Because someone went, "Yo, Charles, you want to have 8 daiquiris?" And he's like, "I've already had 6.
Here's what I do: hang out with people outside of my team. So, John, start talking about Bret Hart.
So Bret Hart goes away for a year, comes back to a very different WWF.
Oh,
Steve
he
Austin's
comes.
wearing CUM and COME, both spellings. The Wrestler Review and regular. And then comes back in, finds Steve Austin wearing the first version of his leather vest, which was the one with just the words Stone Cold against a blue background on it. And he doesn't like the cut of his jib, quite frankly, Dylan. You know what he says? He says some stuff. He says stuff like, I don't like this guy. He's a meister of malarkey.
Hey, I don't like you, buddy. That's what he says.
Yeah, he says that, and he goes, tone it down. They then have the weirdest Royal Rumble ever, which is Vince McMahon is convinced of the draw of Shawn Michaels. While Bret is gone, by the way, Shawn Michaels has won and lost the championship title 40 times, based mostly on Bret not wanting to have to lose it, Shawn not having to lose it to Bret.
Yes, this is, and by the way, if you get a chance, it is uploaded on the WWE YouTube. Just go watch the Stone Cold Steve Austin Bret Hart match from Survivor Series '96. It is. Everyone will tell you that Austin basically was turned heel obviously by the submission match, which he
turned face. Oh, only Dylan rooted against him because Dylan doesn't like when men bleed. Because Dylan, this is the thing, Dylan.
That's for women to do. That's
right. That's what Dylan says. He says that, and then they're like, "Is that a period reference?" And then someone has to explain. No, Dylan just thinks men's skin cannot be pierced.
Mm-hmm. yeah. Why isn't his skin more tougher?
Yeah, Dylan is
more tougher.
Yeah, Dylan's a real problem in the kitchen because his wife has played into this lie, but Dylan always goes for the knife. And here's how he grabs them by the blade like this. Fist around the blade.
Ow! Why? Ow!
Yeah, I guess my hand's a woman. He yells.
But they have a great match, and Austin... This is why Austin Bret is one of the most unsung greatest feuds in the history of wrestling. And you know what? It fucking sucks. It fucking sucks that Bret Hart didn't get to come back to the WWF.
You're 100% right.
And feud with Austin when he was superhero Stone Cold Steve Austin. And it was like, I'm the one guy you've never been able to fucking beat.
Oh, and then we would have gotten the best because nothing better than the summer of '97. Whoa, what's going on there? '97 promos. You know you can make that our background.
I tried. I tried just now. I tried to figure out some tech stuff while we were just recording, and it didn't.
Here,
work.
I can do it. Put it in background, you fuck. Just you see if you go to there's overlay, and then if you go keep scrolling down, there's background.
Ooh,
see?
Okay. This, by the way, is your dad's trying to learn how to use a computer.
There's the dogs playing poker.
Oh wow!
There's a bunch of trolls. There's some roast beef.
Oh, why was the roast beef there?
There's Dean Martin.
I mean, it doesn't work because the logo's too. No, but the logo's.
No, it's good.
All right. Well, we're just covering the logo.
Barry Darso's looking down on us.
Barry Darso. By the way, this is a new Wrestler Review logo. He's naked from the fucking neck down.
Yeah. And by the way, Dylan, if then people need to be reminded of what they're watching, we can just do this. Boom. Hey, we're watching the Wrestler Review.
Oh, where are we? Wait, just what? Do it again. Shut up, you're fat. There we go.
No.
Barry Darso on the show.
Hang on. Oh, I want to see two hot guys. Well, there's one, and there's Dylan.
That hurt.
I'm sorry, bud. You're great.
Let's take the overlay off.
This is okay. Well,
also back
something
to big guys.
Something you should know, and this is very indicative of society. Do you know the amount of people that have messaged me to tell you that you're looking great? You posted a video clip, and like three people messaged.
They should call me on the phone.
3 people messaged me and were like, "Dylan looking good," and I was like, "Do you think I live with him?"
Well, tell those people they should be shamed.
Oh, I did. I shamed all. I said, "You want to know why he looks good? Because he doesn't eat like a little pig." And they were like, "What?" And I was like,
"You're fat,
piggy boy." Oink 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 oink
oink oink oink. Oreo boy,
oink,
shut up,
oink.
bitch.
Oreos might be vegan, but they're still making you look disgusting. It's what I yell out of car windows.
Shame.
Yeah, I yell that at schools just randomly.
Stone Cold Steve Austin. Good. This is also the point where he's not. It's interesting to watch him when he was a wrestler still. Like they're exchanging hammer locks. It's basically like Stone Cold's character which is so cool, is that he's fucking pissed that he's been overlooked for so long. He's just so angry, and when he's very angry, it makes him very good at fighting. YOLO beast mode Wagwan. It's pretty much the whole entire story. And Bret Hart, of course, beats him, but he doesn't beat him with the sharpshooter in the middle. He reverses $1 million dream, and then Austin just gets angrier and angrier. And Bret Hart also, to build upon what we were talking in the second episode of this, was he is the ultimate NWA champion. It's just the thing that Vince McMahon hates the most is the NWA. And he's like, I remember even in the build for Austin and Bret Hart matches, he would be like, well, it's going to be really hard to get the sharpshooter on, because if you look at Stone Cold Steve Austin, he has these huge legs.
Yeah, it's such a funny thing. Legs. It's a very funny where I also bet you what didn't help this match's reputation is Jim Cornette and Jim Ross jacking off about it. Because I guarantee they were both like, now that is what I call wrestling. And when Vince McMahon heard that, he went, now that's what I call something we're never doing again.
Yeah, because you can even hear it in the commentary when Bret and Austin are wrestling, and then Jim Ross will call something a hold, and Vince McMahon will literally scoff and be like, "Why? It's everything as a maneuver." And Shawn Michaels is my boyfriend.
Yeah, I am in love with Shawn Michaels. He is my guy. I would like to know why Shawn Michaels, my guy, is not on the thing.
Which, to be fair, it's not. He's very, very, very good. Shawn Michaels is. This is a very, very, very good period in professional wrestling.
Yeah, it's a very, very good period in professional wrestling. And Vince McMahon, as usual, does everything he can to stop it. And Steve Austin was so fucking good. He was able to withstand the storm.
Okay, yeah, January 6th. So the other thing I don't think we think about is when 1996, the upper of this card is so much better than when they actually start making money. Like Bret, Shawn, Austin, Undertaker, Vader. Well, I guess you get the debut of Kane the next year. Mankind. Sid.
Mantar. Sid. Carlos Colon comes back for a bit. Why
colon.
The fuck?
I say colon.
You do say colon. It's weird. That the famous luchador I can never remember the name of, who refused to do a job and loved
Mil Mascaras.
Mil Mascaras comes in. This is the height of the WWF.
It really and
Ahmed Johnson.
Ahmed Johnson.
The greatest wrestler of all time.
Very over.
You're not supposed
very
to.
Over, by
you're
the
not
way.
supposed to hurt the opponents. Guess how tough Ahmed is. He does.
He hurts them all very badly. So, Bret Hart, of course, he wins the title during this period. This is all leading up into Montreal. No, actually, no. We skipped over a whole ton of shit. Of course, we get the Hart Foundation, which really did turn around the WWF's business. John, explain what the Hart Foundation is.
Absolutely. The Hart Foundation was a faction.
It was a faction.
Of two people, Bret Hart and his ego. No, it was the greatest thing in all time because it basically did something that Canadians never get to have, which is a representation of Canadians on their television. And they represented it. It was one of those things where they basically were able to create a situation where they were good guys in Canada, bad guys in the States in a time when they were down. So they were able to fill every fucking arena in Canada over the summer, which is why in like the run up to Bad Blood, they're doing Moncton, fucking New Brunswick and St. John's, Newfoundland, is because Vince McMahon, this is when Vince McMahon is the best at being a promoter, is you've backed me into a corner. Here's how I generate a crowd. I know where I can still pop a fucking audience. Not to talk about modern days too much, but this is when everyone's like WWE's done. It's like, no, this is this. If anything, Vince McMahon has gone, another situation where I can thrive. I've fucked this. Now I will go at them.
Yeah. And it like exactly what John's saying. They create a guy Bret Hart is a very good draw internationally. They have to play Canada a lot because they're getting skunked out in the States because WCW has every single guy you think of when you think of pro wrestling from the 80s, and they do a nationalism angle, and it works great. And it works great as far as the states, too, because the people that are fighting for the states are Stone Cold Steve Austin, Psycho Sid, Shawn Michaels, and like Goldust.
Yeah.
So it kind of makes it like the puritanical evil Canadians who love socialism.
Yeah, they love health. They love healthcare in pink against a man in a gold onesie and his 4 friends with various different levels of male pattern baldness.
And it's also like exactly what Canadians would always say about Americans and why they don't like Americans. Like, yeah, well, we don't get shot and we have healthcare. It's really fun here. And Bret Hart's the exact perfect Canadian to say it because he has this air of self-satisfaction that kind of makes you want to slap him in the face.
Yeah, exactly. It's also
even though he will beat you up and just say your stew, your stew.
He's in a wheelchair with circle glasses.
Great.
And
Bret in the wheelchair is the best promo work he ever does.
Oh my God, it's the best thing. He's such an asshole.
He's so good.
It's also all the Hart siblings are really good at coming across like bags of shit and all of this because they keep attacking Steve Austin and making it look like it was fucking Stu, which is super fun. It's just a really good time. This is the Bret that we should have always had, which is like, this is Bret actually being himself. Where I'm from is better than where you are from.
I'm the best, you're shit, and I genuinely believe that. There's a certain like earnestness to Bret Hart that works during this period as well. And it's like when you're in the cartoon world of the early 90s, obviously he worked well as well, but he worked there as well because it was like this guy's a real guy and he's fighting the Undertaker, so you can like live through that. But there's also when he turns heel, it's like it's a perfect heel character for him because obviously, and this is obviously when heels work the best, but it's like he believes all these things. And then you go to WCW and he's just a wrestling heel and it's fucking terrible.
Oh, it's so hot.
But it's like you need to get Bret Hart. Like Bret Hart would have been an amazing heel if it was the right to censor with Bret Hart as the leader. Because he would have just earnestly been like, this isn't wrestling. What you're doing is disgusting, and I won't let anyone watch it. I'm banned my kids from watching me wrestle. I just tell them I work at the post office now. And people would have... And then he would see boobs, and he'd be like, those are only for when your wife isn't in town.
What's also very funny about this period of time is it feels like it was a plan the entire time from Bret Hart. Do you know what I'm saying? Where it's like he ends the Raw after WrestleMania 13 by uniting Davey Boy and Owen and then bringing in Pillman and Neidhart. And it was this amazing thing they were able to do when there was a wrestling war of it felt like it was like, these are my guys within the industry. Now we've come together and we're sharing it with the audience, which made it so much more exciting. Coupled with the fact you're now building towards the Montreal Screwjob. And they're like making promos that are like the Sunny Days promo happens in this period of time. Like everything is just more exciting and real. Everything has that additional thing of like Brian Pillman's done the loose cannon. Now he's with the Hart Foundation. Bret's got the circular glasses. It builds to the best SummerSlam of all time.
Those are his heel glasses. But like definitively when Bret Hart was wearing those glasses, those are his old Hart Foundation mid-80s glasses that he was wearing when he was a heel. So it's like a very subtle nod to like, I am a heel.
Well, they're even different again because he would wear the aviators in the heel Hart Foundation, and he's made like the adult version of aviators, the circle guys.
Ooh, the circles.
It's so hot.
So did you know this? Did you know that Bret Hart wrestled Stone Cold Steve Austin in a submission match? Did you know that, John?
I did know that, Dylan. Thank you so much for telling me.
And it is obviously the double turn. We get Bret Hart cowering before Ken Shamrock, and they try and build up that match. They have Ken Shamrock as a special enforcer, and even before the match, it's like, it's such a really good thing because it's like, Stone Cold's obviously done all these terrible underhanded things this entire time to Bret Hart. Absolutely. And Bret's finally going to get his revenge in a match that, and it's because it's completely the inverse of every other match you would ever see with a heel and a babyface, where it's like Bret Hart has clearly going to win this match. He's clearly going to win this match because he is the sharpshooter, one of the greatest submission moves of all time in kayfabe. That's right. Sting's, I said kayfabe.
What? Yeah, he has Sting's finishing maneuver.
He has Sting's finisher, and Stone Cold can't tap anyone out. He can't do anything. He has no submissions on his record, really. We're just going to forget about the $1 Million Dream. So he's just going to like really wrench in a headlock and hope for the best. So it should be like slam dunk, we're going to dunk on this hoe-ass heel. But if you watch any of the 96 matches, you're going to see the crowd is, I'm not going to say 50-50 for Austin. It's more like 70-30 for Bret. But there's a palpable amount of people just screaming for Austin. And it really is, I don't know, that once again, not to reiterate, but that feud is really like how they get over into the Austin era in such a more real way than because Michaels, because it's WWE and it's Shawn Michaels and Vince McMahon, Michaels gets all the credit. Everything you always see is Austin, Tyson, and then him beating Michaels. But it's like Shawn Michaels, the way he did that job was fucking shit. Like he lost, yes, but like he chewed gum actively while he was selling the stunner.
Yeah.
Whereas Bret Hart, like fucking all these matches, he went great, and it was so believable, and it like put Bret over so strong while slowly turning Austin. Like it was such a fucking great. I'd say this, maybe not in ring, because you could just like say whatever to New Japan guys, and I'd have to believe you that it was great.
Oh yes, no. The better match than this is actually the great Tenzin versus Joe Klungen, and it happened.
Joe Klungen.
It happened at the Egg Dome in Tokyo in 2007. The match was 4 hours long, and it ended when both men just had to be taken to a hospital for severe awesomeness.
But as far as like character growth for both guys within a feud, I don't think you can beat it. And this is like kind of the dragon that wrestling is still chasing.
Yeah, exactly. Because it's also what they really want is just Bret Hart to come back and to be awesome. Like in the end, when it's like, we want the Attitude Era back, what that's saying is, can we have Steve Austin? Can we just have a protected main event star that we actually all like? And it's like, no, we can't. It's like, okay. Well, can we have this and that? And it's like, no. What about that? No. That's what wrestling feels like now. It's just.
Yeah. Well, you're not going to have a guy that connects as much as Stone Cold because you it's just impossible now, in my view, because you'll never get someone who's like wrestling is too small now for a guy that's like the underdog against all these 6'6" guys.
That's so funny. Yeah, that's such a great point.
To be intimidating still to a regular man. Like if you're a regular man and you see Stone Cold Steve Austin, he's massive.
Yeah, and but at that time, it's so funny you bring that up. It's
Wrestling's
also
just for nerds now, which everything is for other than huge musicians and huge actors, everything is sort of just for a spat of people. Like, I don't know how much you know about online culture. I certainly don't know that much, but like I learned who Addison Rae was like last month, and 16 million people follow her, which means like
I don't even know.
16 million people follow her. And it's like, no idea who this fucking woman is. She's just like a lady who's huge on TikTok who's like, check this out, I'm wearing a dress. And everyone's like, we like that dress.
I like that a lot.
I really like that dress. My niece has a friend who is 17 years old, and she has 750,000 followers on TikTok. And all it is her trying on a dress and going, yeah, you like it? And then I assume a bunch of creeps are like, I broke my phone, shoving it in my ass or whatever.
When you say come, I say now.
I don't think they would say the come part. You would probably have to get them to say now.
Well, and who knows more about the internet?
You.
That's right, I do. Hot boy Johnny.
Big pig fucker, and then pig fucker John. Of course, Bret starts the slow. And this is the funny thing. This is probably why everyone thought Montreal was an angle, but he starts fucking pushing around Vince McMahon. Everyone starts pushing around Vince McMahon, and Bret's one of the first people on television to really expose that Vince McMahon owns the company. Because when you're a children, you just thought this guy was like the announcer. The weird announcer who didn't know anything.
We should have all figured out he was in charge because the man didn't know what a backslide was. What a maneuver.
They would just say, "Oh wow, geez, Christmas."
Also, anyone who's shocked that Vince McMahon turned out to be a wild narcissist should look at the fact that he's clearly the worst person at the job he gave himself, and he got to keep that job for so long.
Yeah. Also, the interesting part is Bret's still the face, and he's got an entire stable, and only Austin. But it's the perfect thing. I mean, we're talking way too much about Austin on a Bret Hart podcast, but like, it's
No,
the
we're
perfect
not.
thing.
No, I disagree. Fuck you, because
Disagree with me.
Steve Austin isn't as big as he becomes without this moment in time. The Montreal Screwjob overshadows this. This is more important than the Montreal Screwjob. The Montreal Screwjob happened. We are a wrestling podcast. Everyone has talked about the Montreal Screwjob. I don't care anymore. What it was Bret was a stubborn dick who had gone, I've done everything I can for this fucking company. I don't want to lose to this piece of shit.
They're both wrong.
They're both wrong.
Even when you're searching for who's right and who's wrong, that's the most interesting thing about the Montreal Screwjob to me is that I've never heard. Yeah, they were both kind of wrong.
Yeah.
Like I think Bret is kind of more in the wrong. It's just the part where Vince could have done him
more in the thong.
But like Vince could have done him the good service of basically just being like, okay, you can just drop it to someone else. Like you can just drop it to Shamrock, and then Shamrock will lose.
No, but he couldn't. He couldn't do that because it's that thing of that word would get out, all of that sort of stuff. What he had to do is exactly what he did. You're right. Everyone was wrong. He should have kept the belt on the
retrospect. Here's what he should have done. Is exactly what he did because it gave birth to the most lucrative character in the history of professional wrestling.
He did exactly the right thing. It's just the thing he did was a kind of a bit dicky. So, yeah.
Without Mr. McMahon, I'm sorry to say this, the Attitude Era is still fucking awesome and still.
It's not. It doesn't grow to the same thing because it gave so much weight.
But
big butts.
Without Mr. McMahon.
Go ahead.
You just have The Rock facing Stone Cold a bunch more. And then also, what do you have? No Shane, no Linda, no Stephanie. That's pretty good.
That actually, I got to tell you, you're making the Attitude Era sound so much more awesome. No, that's not true. Shane McMahon's
kind of like Cars. You know how Cars are like amazing, obviously? Like, obviously, they've made our world so convenient and have done immeasurably great things for humanity, but also are literally the reason why it's going to snow in August. And then December will only be known as the death month.
Yeah, that's where you live. December, where I live, will be an absolute paradise. It's the summer where I live. It's going to be, that's just the time when everything lights on fire.
Yeah, well, that's the thing. Like that's what the McMahon family is. They're Cars. It's like amazing things they've done, amazing moments in that Attitude Era, but we all might be living underwater in 10 years because of them.
I can't believe how much I relate to what you just said, and I hate that.
I'm really pumped for this YouTube auto highlight I press when whatever weird shit comes up.
We are going to take a break. When we come back, we're going to talk about my favorite time, not the Montreal Screwjob. Bret Hart punching Vince McMahon in the face right after the Montreal Screwjob in the most Canadian move ever. And then we are going to talk about Bret's contract leaving the WWE. And next week we talk about WCW, his retirement, and the best phase of Bret Hart when he came back in 2010 and couldn't be touched.
Yeah, I mean, I'm going to say this. I really want to just talk about I didn't get enough time to just discuss his WCW storylines. Because his WCW storylines, like everyone, obviously the Austin feud's amazing. The Hart Foundation is amazing. His matches with Shawn around this time were still amazing because you actually had like two amazing wrestlers who genuinely started to hate each other.
Absolutely.
So it was just like cokehead meets pothead, like I said in the second episode. But like WCW is when you get like the interesting part.
I think it's deeper than that. What it is it's cokehead versus pothead, but more specifically, what it is. Good boy who listens to rules, bad boy who doesn't listen to rules. That's basically the thing.
Very well put.
And Bret Hart works hard, has to go to the gym, can't party, all of this sort of stuff. And Shawn gets to be a dick and then gets all of the things that Bret gets. And it's like, well, then why can't I be a dick? And that leads to the Montreal Screwjob.
Yeah, and it's also like, well, because you have to sit Bret down and be like, you can't talk that well. And when you talk, it's this fast.
Yeah. What's also interesting, if I now think about it, and
think about it now.
Bret is the first champion who gets sort of what I like to call the old Daniel Bryan, which is feel-good moment at WrestleMania. The second WrestleMania is over, cut his fucking legs, goodbye. Like, because who were Bret's big WrestleMania opponents after
Bret makes himself.
Yoko? Yeah, okay, it's Owen, but that's all Bret's doing. And no one was expecting Owen to be a big main event star. You know what I'm saying?
Yes, but this is even how much better wrestling worked in the 90s, that even though they put Bret over, or they didn't put Bret over against, like, they did have Bret beat Yoko with the sharpshooter eventually, but not initially. Like, initially he wins that title because Yoko fall down, go boom. That's literally how he wins.
When does he beat him with the sharpshooter, though? Because Yoko goes away, comes back as Owen's tag team partner like a year later.
That's it. That's when. Like, once Yokozuna's moving down the card and he's too fat to move, that's when they're finally like, okay, have Bret beat this dude with a sharpshooter. But what the hell were we talking about? I just had a small stroke.
It was a big stroke? We were talking about Yokozuna. You got a Yokozuna.
Who are you?
Your brain just bonsai'd.
Oh. The reason why he's not like Daniel Bryan is because Daniel Bryan never had long-standing feuds where he just beat the shit out of somebody and then won. And there's also tiers. So once Bret got to that top tier, they would have him win all the, like, transitional champion matches. You know what I mean? Like, if he's like an actual boxer, he beats all the guys who he's supposed to beat and then loses to the guys who it could go 50-50 against. And that's how they book Bret Hart. Versus like a regular champion who they believe in, he beats the guys who knows who's going to win. Oh, the regular champion wins. And that's why Bret Hart, and just how good Bret Hart is in the ring, keeps him over. Like, he really, really takes himself seriously, and you don't get the commentary that's like if Bret Hart was around now, you're right, his equivalent would be Daniel Bryan, and they would just fixate on, like, why is his hair so wet? Huh? How many sunglasses does this guy own? Like, that's what they would have talked about instead of Jerry Lawler constantly being like, I hate this guy. He's great. I wish I could beat him up, but I can't. And then putting two people putting him over every time. Like, 1995 WWE and 1996, not 96, but 1995, how, like, everyone says it's the fucking shittiest year in the world. We would all give it our left nut to have that be the last 15 years of wrestling, where it was just cohesive storytelling, where, like, this guy's good, this guy's better than this guy won.
Yeah. What a time.
Even if it is with dumb characters.
The dumbest.
And that was 1 year. And everyone fixates on this 1 year because we were, like, everyone who covers wrestling was 10 when that year happened.
What it also was is it's the moment inside of wrestling. It's that weird thing with wrestling nerddom at this point, is that it's very wag the dog. In that.
Explain that.
In that, like, wrestling fans are like, we're the ones who write the history. But really what happens is people inside the wrestling industry tell this was the worst year for wrestling. And then wrestling fans are like, you're right. Here's all of that evidence. We decide. And it's like, you decided nothing. You listened to these weirdos and they just made a decision for you.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's a fascinating turn of affairs. It's also just this affairs. Affairs.
You had a stroke too. We both had strokes. We're going to take a short break, and then we're going to be back with more about Bret the Clit Man Fart right after shit.
Wait a minute. But what are we talking about after the break? You fuck? Tell them.
Who knows?
Montreal Screwjob Aftermath coming up after the break. I can talk for 25 minutes about Bret Hart punching Vince McMahon. I can do it. I want to. Oh, my headphones. Dylan.
We're back from break.
How do you feel of us? The Montreal Screwjob, everyone knows what we're talking about. Let's talk about what the rest of the review is all about.
Okay.
Which is stupid, weird shit that happens backstage. Here's what happens backstage. In the ring, the Screwjob occurs. Backstage, here are the following people that leave. Earl Hebner, his brother, Jim Cornette. Somehow those are the two. One guy I know loves getting jacked off with hot oil in a massage. Another guy who is that guy's brother, and a guy that is into stuff so weird and sexual it made Dylan, and I'm quoting now, say, "I don't like this."
Didn't Jim Cornette, wasn't he one of the architects of the screw job though?
No, okay.
He
So
says
Jim Cornette,
he was like, well, we could just screw him.
Yeah, Jim Cornette says he said it in the meeting, and then Vince went okay, and then never mentioned it again. And then that day, Jim asked Vince, "Do you have a finish? We don't know what it is." And he went, "Yep." And he went, "Okay, I don't need to know anything else." He then went and stayed for the match, watched the match, saw the finish, and was out in time with the Hebners because Jim Cornette knew what it was going to be. Probably in that it's that thing of like, some of my jokes because we've worked together, so you can kind of stand up during the setup because you know the punchline. That's what I think Jim Cornette did. Those guys fucked off. Mick Foley was the only wrestler who actually tried to stand up for something and left the company for one day.
Yeah.
I assume The Undertaker told about 14 people it was his yard. Shawn Michaels, for some reason, befriended 2 white supremacists. And Bret Hart took a shower. Well, Bret Hart's wife yells at Triple H, which is on YouTube. Everyone go watch it. Dylan, what do you think so far of what's happening backstage for the Montreal Screwjob?
I think it's just a bunch of people. I've seen this 1,000 times. It's a bunch of people trying to be on both sides, kind of. Where it's like they have to, oh, I'm a wrestler, so I have to play like this is unexpected, and then I'm going to leave. But you're not going to leave. Is everyone going to go to WCW? You have a contract. You can't leave.
Yeah, but it's also that thing of like,
I can't believe they did that. I don't know, man. It's kind of like
here's what
when
it is.
someone gets fired at your job, at your like.
So it's more than that. We are both comedians. A lot of comedians talk like big talk of like they're not going to treat me that way, and it's like, yeah, you don't understand the world actually. Like what you're saying, yeah, no one is going to treat you that way. You're not going to get to a place where you have to deal with these types of personalities because you kind of have to like shuck and jive to get to here. And to keep progressing, you have to do other things. And yeah, you have to basically be friends with psychos because that's who's just in your industry.
It reminds me.
But hang on.
Yeah, go for it.
But the screw job is a point where it's like all of these wrestlers can be like, wait, I'm on the side of the guy that is a dick. And it's like, yeah, kind of unfortunately, Bret isn't going to give you any money because Bret ideologically is someone you want to side with. But I guarantee like, Kane was like, well, but fuck Bret. Like, Bret's not going to help me.
Yeah, 100%. It's taken you this many years to get there, and the only people that left are people who Jim Cornette will just leave and do something else.
Yeah, Jim Cornette is versatile. Jim Cornette's also a psychopath and has a shitload of family money, so he can do whatever he wants.
Yeah, exactly. So it's like, what it reminds me exactly of is when people get called out. Like anytime a big comedian or a big comedy agency gets called out for like long-standing sexual harassment or sexual assault, and then everyone goes, I can't believe that happened. And then one person always quits, and then no one else does.
Yeah.
And then the person that quit, you find out, was like, oh, they didn't really need this anyway because exactly, they're rich. Or they're just financially stable. You can only really take a stance against something horrible. Like, that's why you hear about these people in history books when they do, which, I mean, it's the Montreal Screw, by the way, is so much less serious. It's a guy didn't want to lose a fake belt because he didn't like the guy who carried the fake belt. It's like the last time in wrestling.
But it gets so Bret Hart in a second, which is Bret Hart. Do you understand that Bret Hart's reaction to being screwed over for a fake belt he never won is to, in real life, punch the owner of that company in the face? Do you know how
no
fucking
one will ever
weird?
take wrestling that seriously again? And I think Cornette's talked about that, where it's like Bret Hart's the last guy who would ever take wrestling, who will ever take wrestling that seriously.
Yeah.
And Jim Cornette only wants dudes like Bret Hart in his company.
Jim Cornette finds that Bret Hart's a bit wishy-washy when it comes to how he feels about wrestling.
Ooh.
You know what I mean? Like, it's one of those sort of things.
It is the prison that murdered his family.
That is the funny thing too. It didn't murder his family. It only murdered one member of his family. And this is the other thing that's weird is
I mean, they don't talk to each other.
Yeah, they're still alive. So Bret
got to be the champion of the family. Stu clearly was the hardest on Bret because Bret had the most potential. But by virtue of being the hardest on Bret meant he gets the most attention because Stu's a psycho.
Yes, he is.
So everyone else in his family has horrible substance problems, and Bret gets to be the one who escaped with his life and now is living his, I'm going to say, Kevin Von Erich years of, man, that was fucked up. Please, can I just get high on this beach and not talk about it?
Yeah, and the problem with Bret's personality is he will say that and then immediately start talking about it. Do you know what I'm saying?
Well, of course, you're cursed. Like, it's like an athlete who's like, you missed that one big shot. You're cursed that
it
no
is,
matter what.
And I'm just formulating this thesis right now, but I actually think that this is this breaks Bret's brain, because basically Bret was told by a Chesterfield that came to life to abuse him named Stu, if you're good in the wrestling business, I will love you. Bret was so good in the wrestling business, he believed it was real a little bit, and then it fucked him. Of course, then it fucked him so bad, and then killed his brother and gave him a stroke because a football player kicked him in the fucking face.
Because of what he was taught, hey, just gut it out, instead of, you're fucking huge concussed, maybe chill.
Yeah.
When his contract totally would have allowed him to chill.
Yeah. Also, all Bret really needed to do was get perspective on the Montreal screw job. And even if that thing of like, yeah, I was angry. You know what? It was a bit ridiculous what I wanted. Sean's a dick. I'm not like, it's that thing of like, if he actually could just for a second be like, that's crazy that happened.
Compartmentalize at all.
Yeah. It's almost not even compartmentalized. It's if he could gain some perspective on what the Montreal screw job was, I think he would be so happier. But I guarantee,
if they had an in-house WWF therapist, this would have never happened. He would have been like, "Whoa, I'm taking this way too seriously. I'll drop the belt."
I guarantee that fucking his fucking kids will not go to the city of Montreal because they don't want to get a phone call from their dad while he's there, being like, "Well, buddies, I can't believe you betrayed me again." And they're like, "We didn't betray Dad."
Would it be fun to live in Montreal and then if Blade Hart shows up there, just roll him up and then get a 1 count and he'll be like, "What?" And I'll be like, "Title's mine." That'd be fun.
Yeah, that's exactly what you should do.
That's what I should do. So we got to talk a bit about WCW.
Here's what we should talk about. That's so funny.
Okay.
So while all of this is happening in the WWF, Bret has, and we've obviously chosen not to go into it for the simple fact that everyone knows the whole story. Bret gets the 20-year contract. They can't pay it. He's now going to WCW. While this is all happening, for some reason, I think that Bret thought in his head he would go to WCW and get all this respect. So all of the stuff that like Bret would build around him in terms of security, he has none of this going to WCW, which is a company populated completely by people that hate him. Do you know what I'm saying? So he comes in thinking he's going to be respected and taken care of, and they fuck him so fast.
And also, there's not enough room in the upper tier for Bret Hart, even if you are coming in with what would baked in be the easiest layup storyline in the history of professional wrestling of like, you know what? I just came from a company where the owner is fucking everything up. I'm going to help Sting and fuck up everyone in the NWO. And instead how does he come into WCW, John?
He's announced as the referee for Larry Zbyszko versus Eric Bischoff. And that's it. And actually, before they do that, the NWO goes to the ring with Canada flags to announce that Bret is coming, which doesn't make any sense because isn't WCW on the side of, or isn't the NWO against WCW? Why do they have that insider information? You know what I'm saying?
Yes, but also like debuting a guy. Imagine CM Punk had just debuted as the special guest referee in the middle of the card.
I pitched that.
You know what? Tony Schiavone is gonna. You know what? Honestly, it would have exactly been like if CM Punk was the special guest referee in Paul White versus QT Marshall instead
That's
of
exactly
I'm
what I
gonna
pitched.
fight Darby Allin.
I pitched that. I'm going to just take this opportunity to say it. Adam Cole is not as big a star as Daniel Bryan and CM Punk. And this is the problem with modern wrestling is that they are like, these three amazing stars debuted. And it's like, no, two legacy players and one guy from the Wet Hair Brigade debuted. And this is where I get a bit on the Bret Hart sides too, which is this weird thing that wrestling does now, which is everyone who just leaves a company to go to another company that's considered hot, that's a big deal. All that does is teach the wrestling business what you should just do is hot shot a lot. Don't do that. Bret going into WCW was the big news. They should have just had him fucking show up with Sting or with anything. They could have also just had him against Raven. Instead, they do this weird thing, which is make him a referee, and then he never really does anything else.
Well, yeah, he comes out as the enforcer. Sorry, he comes out towards the end of the Hogan Sting match, which of course is fucked because, as we all know, there was supposed to be a fast count. There was no fast count. He just pinned Sting clean, and then Bret Hart was like, "This is bullshit," which makes him seem like an idiot because it wasn't bullshit. It was just a regular count. Like, they could have just been like, "Hey, we're gonna have Bret Hart make his decision," or just have Bret Hart come out and then fake like he's gonna, like, you could have got off the NWO storyline so easily there. Sting beats Hogan. Obviously, they weren't going to flush the NWO down the toilet, but Sting beats Hogan. Everyone's celebrating. Bret Hart comes out, shakes Sting's hand, but then like points to the belt and is like, "I want to fight you for that."
What great.
And
bear in mind, this was just thought up by a man who I know for 1 year didn't wipe his ass with toilet paper.
Yeah, I had a Tribune magazines. They got him at the movies, a glossy wipe, just smushed it everywhere.
Dylan was known at most Cineplex Odeons in the greater Toronto area as the Tribune Teeth.
But we're going to talk about Bret Hart's WCW run next week, and Bret Hart's WCW run makes the Big Show horny with how many nonsensical turns there were.
Oh my God. Okay. I want to just talk about
this. If Bret Hart was just a normal man, he got $2.5 million per year. Why does he? You know what I mean? Like, if he's a normal guy,
this
is
again.
I got so much money to provide for my children, but he's like, no. Here's what Bret needed
at Montreal Screwjob. He should have taken that moment to be like, "Now's the time for therapy." Instead, he was like, "Now's the time to confirm everything I've always believed." Like, you know what I mean? Like, it's basically, they were like, "This is a time you need to step back. You are about to, who's the fucker that fucking chokes the bunny because it's too, you're about to of mice and men the bunny, Bret." And Bret is just like, "That is my plan." And they're like, "Wait, what?" And he's like, "I'm in this to kill rabbits." And they're like, "No.
What he does is, he calls a therapist, and the therapist goes, "Hello." And he's like, "If anyone telling you they're Bret Hart says that they want to use your services, or any therapist, don't accept their money." And then he breaks the phone because he thinks now no therapist will fucking ever talk to me. John, this is pretty much a layup, but what's the best and worst parts of this time of Bret Hart's career?
Best part, Montreal Screwjob. Worst part, best part, his refereeing at Starrcade.
Good.
Worst part, he wasn't in the wheelchair more.
Yeah, I'd say best part, Ferrelio, Austin feud. Worst part, I mean, he steps foot in WCW ring and his life falls to shit. We're going to talk about some sad shit that happens over the next 24 years in Bret Hart's life.
Yeah, exactly. Say that again.
The high point of his life, the high point of Bret Hart's life is that Stone Cold Steve Austin submission match. That's his.
Yes. This is okay. Sorry, I got lost for a second. The way you phrased that in my head, and there's a bunch of stuff swirling in my head that has nothing to do with this podcast. And I'm sorry to everyone if I sound distracted, but the way it sounded like,
babes.
Yeah, guys, they all have my phone number, and they just won't stop texting.
That's true.
Facts about taxes. No, the way I heard that in my head, it was his highlight was the Montreal Screwjob, and then the next 24 years of his life was shit. You are correct, though. He achieved everything he needed to achieve with Steve Austin. And then basically the world fucked him from there.
Exactly.
Yeah, and it's a fascinating situation.
Man.
He's a beautiful boy.
This ends the good part of Bret Hart's life.
I disagree entirely. I love Bret Hart in WCW. Bret Hart in WCW is the real life version of Billy Madison. Bret Hart's in a circumstance of his own making that he is not equipped for. It's uncomfortable that he's there. Let's see how he backs it up. Get ready to see a guy very uncomfortable in a black t-shirt a lot of the time.
Oh, buddy, it's pretty much like, oh, you know how you didn't like that one guy that politics? Well, now we have 5.
Yeah, exactly. You don't, yeah.
Like,
oh, you hated
school.
No. It's worse than that. You didn't like Shawn Michaels? Well, welcome to the Shawn Michaels Championship Wrestling.
Yeah, Shawn Michaels Championship Wrestling featuring a guy who's not even concerned with making money. Like, just late years Vince McMahon, but already. Like, Eric Bischoff essentially is one of those baseball players who had one good year and then was like, fuck it, I wear a gold hat on the field now. I do what the fuck I want.
Yeah, basically that's it.
That is it, and that is it for this episode. We'll be back next week. We only covered like a bit over 2 years, but what an eventful 2 years. And
this is the biggest 2 years for one wrestler ever. He has 100%. Bret Hart, in the same 2 years, he creates the biggest wrestler of all time and wears a variety of tucked in shirts that make him look so fucking stupid. Bret Hart in this time period, here's how he dressed. He looked at someone at a Gap and he went, mums that are pregnant? And they went, yeah. He's like, I want to look like that, but tough. And they were like, what? Okay.
Yeah, his character development went from he's a handsome guy and he's mean to he's a handsome guy, but he's nice and he loves sports. And then in the span of like 96 to 97 WWF, it's like 9 different things happen to his character. Very like it is the dragon that everyone's kind of chasing as far as character depth in professional wrestling. And we talked about Raven on our Patreon exclusive episode, and him and Raven are like, you wouldn't think about Bret Hart, but it's like there's a depth to Bret Hart's. It's like the way exactly the only way I think anyone's ever done an effective tweener character where they tie nationalism to it. And it's like his character doesn't change, the world changes, and he gets angry at the world. It's like almost perfect. But obviously, we're going to end this goddamn fucking episode, you dipshits. Subscribe, review, like, patreon.com/wrestler review. Go to John's Twitter @TheJohnHastings for information about his Twitch. Go to my Twitter @Dylan Gott for information about, I don't know, how much my pubes weigh. And @Wrestler Review on Instagram, TikTok, and Twitter as well. Fuck you. Thank you. Bye-bye.
Suck my butt.